Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, I've got another blast from the past video focused on trustee Tiffany Henyard. The purpose of these videos is to take a look back and understand how the politics and governance in Dolton played a role in paving the way for someone like Tiffany Henyard to become mayor. Now, when I say opportunity, I don't mean to suggest that women of color shouldn't have access to leadership roles. Rather, I'm saying that individuals with questionable actions or character like Tiffany Henyard should not be the ones representing communities in these positions.
Why I gotta have all this controversy? Why I gotta have all this back and forth with my board? For what?
Ain't no stopping us now.
No! God, please, no! No!
When I put you in your seat, trustee house, trustee Belcher, never would have been a trustee. I the one made it possible for you guys to sit where you are now. And all I want to do is help the people. That's it.
In my opinion, women like Tiffany Henyard who clearly lack the qualifications for any type of leadership role, whether in fast food, retail, or government, should never have been put in charge of running a village. Her selection as a leader reflects serious flaws in the system, and it's important we question how and why these decisions are made.
I got in the seat, it been nothing but turmoil because people want to control. They thought I was a young, naive woman that was gonna sit here and do what they say. I'm no puppet. But as you saw, trustee Tammy Brown is a puppet. She just said that she don't read. So if she don't read, how does she know how to vote when she come here? That means she are told how to vote.
Stop it. Get some help.
She are told how to vote.
In this video, we're going to take a look at the administration that was in place before Tiffany Henyard became mayor. We'll focus on the behavior of several individuals during the 2014 board meetings, including Tiffany Henyard herself, who, at that time, was serving as a trustee for the village of Dolton. You'll notice that she often aligned herself with Robert Hunt and Stan Brown. I like to call them the dynamic trio, as they frequently voted the same way on various issues. First up, we're going to watch them discuss the village budget. The man speaking is Stan Irving, who was the village administrator at the time. He proposes some budget cuts aimed at saving money for the village. But then he makes a surprising recommendation, one that truly caught me off guard. And you'll hear the residents react to it as well. Let's go ahead and take a look, and I'll chime back in afterward.
What I distributed, Mayor, was a document that is on village letterhead. This was a document that was emailed to the trustee, the board at large, prior to the first budget hearing, and then it was distributed at the budget hearings. This shows my analysis, and I've signed it at the bottom of page 2 of staffing recommendations, as it's titled, that could potentially, if all of these were followed, could save the village in excess of $190,000. Going on to the administrative department, eliminate the full-time administrative assistant position, which was in the budget last year. That salary was $55,000. I have asked to create a part-time assistant to the administrator position at $12 per hour, 25 hours a week, which would be $15,600 as compared to what was being paid last year or budgeted for, $55,000. I also recommended that my salary go from $78,000 up to $100,000. That was not agreed upon. It was moved to $85,000.
So yeah, among all the budget cuts he's recommending, he also suggests giving himself a $22,000 raise. Seriously, make it make sense. I found it incredibly bold for him to propose such a raise while cutting other positions from the budget. Now, we're not going to dwell on the budget discussion too long, but I do want to point out that this village administrator was eventually fired later on due to alleged improper conduct. Let's go ahead and watch what happened.
I was at a friend's house, happened to notice an older Tribune paper actually, and it was about Stan Irving. And Stan Irving, prior to being hired here or appointed here in the village of Dolton, was basically he actually got fired from 2 jobs, one in Bensenville, and also I believe the other one was in Westchester, Illinois, was fired twice. I'm trying to figure out, for one, why was he even allowed here? Why wasn't proper protocol followed to verify records about this person? Why is he still on payroll amidst all the sexual allegations that are going on abroad right now? It shows that, it tells me, and it basically that you guys, I'm not going to say you don't care, but somebody's not doing their homework. Somebody's not following protocol, and that's what this is about. And the fact that he's got these sexual harassment allegations ahead of him. The fact that he has these things, and it's sad, it is so sad that we have to put up with that, and that my tax-paying dollar is still paying this man.
As we heard, the village administrator was eventually let go due to alleged misconduct involving sexual harassment claims. Now, let's move forward with the board meeting. Up next, we're going to focus on the Dolton firefighters, same firefighters who have been fighting for fair treatment, not only under the Tiffany Henyard administration, but even as far back as 2014 and earlier. Their concerns centered around unmet needs related to union contracts and collective bargaining agreements with the village. Things got so bad that they were forced to file grievances due to being overworked and understaffed. I know I touched on this topic in my previous video, but in this one, we'll hear from some different trustees as well. First, we'll listen to the mayor address the issue, and then we'll hear another trustee share her perspective. Let's get into it. So, as we just saw, Trustee Sabrina Smith is speaking with the fire chief about the firefighters. Claims of fatigue from being overworked, sometimes working up to 72 hours straight. She argues that they aren't always working during those long shifts, which to me feels like she's downplaying their very real concerns. Honestly, I don't think someone without first-hand experience as a firefighter should be challenging the legitimacy of what firefighters, especially a chief, saying about their own exhaustion. Let's be real. Whether you're actively on a call or just on standby, being at work for 72 hours straight is mentally and physically draining. Even sitting behind a desk for that long would wear anyone down. And firefighters don't just sit, have to be ready to spring into action at a moment's notice to save lives. Let me know in the comments if you agree, because I think her stance is unfair. Now, let's continue and hear how the fire chief responds to her claims about their fatigue.
They're running calls at all hours of the night.
They have to be prepared to go on the call.
We run calls all night long.
That's not what she asked you.
It's like a police
First, no,
That's okay, that's not what I'm asking. We're gonna try and cut some more things, so we don't keep going through this. No.
Of course they're not running a call for 72 straight hours. That makes your question makes no sense. They're stuck at work. That means they're missing their family time.
Just because they're at work.
Working too many hours. They are working.
As I mentioned earlier, Sabrina argued that since the firefighters aren't constantly out fighting fires, their fatigue complaints don't really make sense to her. She seems to be missing the point entirely. We then hear the fire chief push back, with the same argument I made, that it doesn't matter if they're on active calls the whole time. Just being at work, away from home, on standby, and mentally prepared to respond at any moment is exhausting in itself. That's still work. I think the bigger issue here is that the Dolton firefighters have consistently struggled to have their concerns taken seriously. Their complaints about being overworked and fatigued often fell on deaf ears. I will say, though, at least the mayor at that time appeared to be on their side and made an effort to speak up for them.
Okay.
Okay, they go to bed at 10 o'clock, they could be up at 11, they could be up at 12, they could be up at 2, they could be up, fire the other day, 2:30 in the morning, up all night now. Now they fought a fire at 2:30 in the morning, got back at the station at 7, had to work a whole nother day. Now they didn't sleep that night before. So,
Okay.
72 straight hours at home, for not being at home,
I
being
understand
here,
that.
can't leave. But they're just at work and they're running calls at all hours of the night.
They have to be prepared to go on the call.
We run calls all night long.
Unlike Tiffany Henyard, because we all saw how she behaved during the meetings when the Dolton firefighters came forward to express their concerns. This is how she responded, ...
We will continue to serve despite the fact our health insurance is not being paid, our retirement funds are being taken from us, and workers' compensation claims are not being handled properly. These are serious issues and they need to be addressed and fixed immediately.
All right. Call the next person. Call the next person.
Yeah, hey now, let's move on. Up next, there's a heated exchange about budget cuts. In this clip, Trustee Pearson points out that some trustees actually voted to increase their own expenses while cutting essential items from the village budget. Let's take a look.
The money.
Right, why don't you
We
cut your
just
own salary?
said, you know what? Why don't you cut your salary?
I cut mine. They're raising. I cut mine.
Who's raising it?
Trustee Hunt is adding $4,000
per trustee for training. We already get $13,000 that we don't have to turn in receipt for. Why would we spend $4,000
It's fine.
per
We don't
piece
need that.
more money for
Well, right now, we're
training? Oh, come on. That's taking advantage of these
budget
people.
cuts right now. We're not even on that yet. Lord.
So, Trustee Pearson points out that Robert Hunt, you all know Reading Robert, over here voted to increase the trustees' training budget by $4,000 per trustee. But here's the kicker. He also mentions that trustees were already receiving $13,000 in taxpayer funds without being required to submit any receipts. That alone is wild to me. The fact that they didn't need to provide any proof of how that money was spent is a huge flaw in the system. It basically created an environment where financial accountability didn't exist. With that kind of setup, it's no surprise that Tiffany Henyard went completely off the rails once she gained access to even more taxpayer money as mayor.
Wasteful spending is being done, and it's not from your mayor, Tiffany Henyard. It's from your board of trustees, the Fantastic Four. That's who wasted your money. All I can do is guide you to see what we see. That's it.
Tiffany Henyard was already used to spending taxpayer dollars freely without any real accountability. So it's no surprise that she and the rest of the dynamic trio, Trustee Robert Hunt and Trustee Stan Brown, took full advantage of a system that was clearly broken. They saw an opportunity to access and spend public funds without oversight, and in my opinion, they ran with it. Then, just as Trustee Pearson begins making a valid point about the unnecessary $4,000 budget increase, we hear Tiffany jump in, attempting to dismiss his argument and downplay the issue.
We spend $4,000
It's fine.
per
We don't
piece
need that.
more money for
Well, right now, we're
training.
Oh,
come on. That's taking advantage of these
budget
people.
cuts right now. We're not even on that yet. Lord.
Yeah, so listen to her.
Well, right now, we're
Training. Come on.
Yeah, so listen to her right now. It's giving total, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain energy. Just a hot mess from the very beginning. What really stunned me though, was how they managed to squeeze an extra $4,000 out of the budget for their own training. It instantly reminded me of a moment when Mayor Tiffany Henyard called out the Dolton trustees over their hotel stays while attending a conference related to their roles. Let's take a look at her telling them they'd have to cover those hotel costs out of their own pockets.
It'll be too much for me to go through everything you just said. So I'm gonna just hit on the one item that stood out the most, which was the hotels for the stay downtown. I sent the email out to everyone stating that I was not paying for hotels at the IML. And you guys got that before you even made it downtown. I think it was 2 days before. You was told to either bring a credit card, put on file to pay for your own room, or pay for it, I guess, when you got down there. I don't know what decisions any of you made as related to keeping the hotel there. I've been on the board for 8 years as a trustee. We never paid for IML stays because it was strictly right up the street for myself. I can speak for me as a trustee. The mayor always told us that it was within 15 minutes, which it was, and we can drive to and from. So each year I commuted to and from the IML. And if I want to pay for a hotel, we get an expense account. Our expense account, and I'll put that in the email as well, equal to about $5,000 that each trustee has received as of today.
So it's clear that she's nitpicking the trustees over their training expenses, specifically telling them their hotel stays wouldn't be covered. But here's the irony: as a trustee, Tiffany Henyard had no issue spending $13,000 or more on her own training or other expenses without ever having to submit a single receipt. Also, I don't know if you all caught it, but she mentioned that funds had been placed into an expense account for the trustees to use and that the money had just been deposited that very day. Suspicious timing, to say the least.
If I want to pay for a hotel, we get an expense account. Our expense account, and I'll put that in the email as well, equal to about $5,000 that each trustee has received as of today.
So basically, the trustees didn't even have access to those funds until after the fact. This just highlights the hypocrisy between Tiffany Henyard as a trustee and Tiffany Henyard as mayor. A lot of what she did seemed to be out of spite. Some people have even said she ran for mayor just to get revenge for how she felt she was treated as a trustee and how the previous mayor operated. But in my opinion, once she became mayor, she ended up saying and doing many of the exact same things the former mayor did. In fact, some of her words were nearly identical. Let's take a quick look at this side-by-side comparison so you can see exactly what I mean.
It's that time. Compare the mayors. To compare one mayor to another, we put them together side by side and see how they compare to each other. I hope you guys like my little song. All right, well, we're going to do some comparisons, okay?
You were not recognized, okay? So the superintendent was talking, and when you get recognized, you can make your motion. That's the problem. You want to run the meeting, and you're not running the meeting.
sir.
Know your place, learn your seats, and that's the problem y'all got. Y'all overstep.
You don't have the floor right now.
But
That's
take
the
over
problem. That's the problem.
discussion, Mayor.
That's the problem. You didn't take it. There is no discussion right now.
Because I just
There
tabled
is
it
no
right.
discussion
Yeah, I
right
gotta
now.
say.
It hasn't been presented.
We're gonna move on because you guys stated what you wanted to take out. We're gonna take out whatever you said you want to take out. You added your attorney information in and vote. Now move on.
We're still in discussion.
All the back
We're still in
and forth for
discussion.
what? Discussion about what?
All the trustees in that spoke.
I haven't.
We're moving on. Can you
Okay,
please
no,
call?
no, Mayor,
can you
may I be
please call the roll?
recognized prior to moving
No,
on?
no, you cannot.
Okay.
I got a table in a second. You can't have a
There
discussion
has
on the
not been a
table.
motion on it.
I made a motion to table it.
You were not recognized, okay?
We're gonna move on,
She
trustee.
can't be recognized?
Trustee,
We're
we're
not
gonna
moving
move
on.
on. We are. We are going to move on. We're not gonna go back and forth. We just said what we needed to say. We're gonna move on. Clerk, can you please call the
I
roll?
make a motion to suspend the
Can you
rules.
please call the roll?
Second.
Second.
I can make a motion to do a table. You can't take that right from me because you didn't give me the right to
When
be
you
up
get
here.
the floor, you can make your
No, I
motion.
can make a table
When you
for
get
you.
recognized, you will
No,
get
sir,
your.
I don't need you to give me
When
the right
you
to
get
make a table,
recognized,
sir. You can't take that right away from
when
me,
you
sir.
get recognized,
Sir, you can't
that's
take
when
that
you
right
can
away
make a
from me.
motion.
Sir, you can't take that right away from me, sir.
Please call the roll.
I just made a motion and second.
Your motion is not granted. Can you please call the roll?
Can we get an attorney up here? Because, excuse me, let's
Because
stop
y'all make this into a whole show.
Sir, you can't take that right away from me.
Is the director have anything else to add? Has a motion been made to approve the hire?
No, I made a motion to table.
Not second.
We're not here for that. We're here to take care of the business. We're not here to go back and forth. It's no respect up here. At the end of the day, I keep telling y'all gonna put some respect on my name. I am the senior trustee. I would like y'all respect.
You gotta give respect to get respect.
I definitely give it.
Mayor, if I
I
could-
definitely give it. You gotta give respect in order to get it. But Mayor, see you in your mouth.
Last week, I submitted 4 sets of minutes. Why my minutes are not being put on this agenda to be approved, I do not understand. The agenda was removed from my office so that the mayor can control the agenda. That's why no one up here can put anything on this agenda but her.
3 questions, Mayor. I placed the 3 items on the agenda. What is our policy for placing things on the agenda?
The mayor approves the agenda.
No. The policy is any trustee that was sitting up here before the 3 came in can place anything on the agenda.
This is not the Tiffany Henyard meeting. This is the Board of Trustees meeting.
That's not what I recall.
It is, Mayor. I'm telling you. Mary Kay, is that not the policy of how we conduct the agenda items?
The practice of the trustees prior to the new board coming in was that any trustee could place any item on the agenda.
So she should not be the only person who can place things on this agenda.
Thank you. So I go back to my question, which is why was my items removed? If that's our practice, I placed 3 items on the agenda. You removed my 3 items per the mayor, and
I
then y'all
did.
reposted the agenda.
I did.
Okay, do you have a reason why you took my agenda items out? Okay, well, my question still stands for why my items weren't on there. Attorney Murphy, I even CC'd you on it as well, and no one responded to why my items was not on the agenda. So you said you felt you wanted to take it off because you're not reinstating Chief Collins.
Trustee.
So why the other 2 was not
Trustee.
on there? Why was
Trustee.
the other 2 not on there, Mayor?
Trustee, they're not on the agenda.
I
We're gonna
know
go
that. I
forward.
see
We're
that.
gonna go forward with today's
Okay, but I'm
agenda.
asking you that so that I have clarity for next time when I have an agenda
Okay.
item.
We're moving forward.
But
Next
Mayor,
thing on the
I was
agenda.
asking
Next
the
thing
attorney
on
why
the
wasn't
agenda.
my items on the agenda.
Next
So I'll
thing
have
on the
that
agenda
issue
is
later.
citizens address.
That's the
And
problem. Y'all don't want nobody to talk. It's no honor to Robert Rules of Order. Y'all know how Robert Rules of Order go. When I tell y'all something, y'all don't want to do it. You want to go back and forth with me. And I'm not the boss of anybody, but I am the leader of this town. And I run the meetings, period.
It's a meeting.
So if I'm telling you guys we're going to move on, we're going to move on.
Yeah, they sound almost identical, right? I actually did another video where I compared their mannerisms and some of the things they would say. And it's clear Tiffany Henyard definitely took a few pages out of the previous mayor's playbook. What I'm not sure about is whether the former mayor had the same kind of spending issues. From what I've seen in the board meetings, he didn't go over the top or spend lavishly the way Tiffany did. So aside from the back and forth banter, I'm not convinced they operated the same way behind the scenes. But that's going to wrap it up for today. If you'd like to see more of these flashback board meeting clips, let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe.